Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Michaela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Michaela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. If this is your first time joining me, then I'm excited to have you here on my channel. If you've been with me from the beginning or somewhere along the journey, I am so appreciative that you're returning. We've had issues with the sound, and now I'm back to the smaller microphone, and I have to figure out how to get the sound to work. I'm very appreciative of you returning. I am so happy. Today is story time, or the day of our chapter exchange. So if you're writing with me and you wish to exchange chapters, then send your chapter with written permission to writewithmichaela@gmail.com. I will post the email address at the end of the video and in the description below. I'm looking forward to reading your chapters. All chapters are writing prompts read on the channel, whether they are mine or another writer's work, are copyright protected material, and no one may use any part in writing their own stories. The story is PG-13, so if you're under 13 years of age, you need parental guidance. The story is in its rough draft stage. Just as the last stories we've heard, all the stories on the channel will be rough drafts, most likely. The title of this story is Elloni's Pride. And today we're reading chapter 1 out of book 3. If you would like to read along, send to the email that I stated, request a PDF of the chapter. Make sure you are specific. And I will send PDFs of the vocabulary scripts as well if you want that. Any script, any episode. If you want the script, just let me know. That's why you need to be specific. Now let's look at Elloni's Pride, book 3, Gaining Freedom, chapter 1, Normal Life. Life had been much better in the 6 years since they moved to the mountains in the north for the villagers and for Cinder's group. And they relaxed and even enjoyed life. There had been several weddings, including Charmin and Vixie, who married 6 months after moving to the mountains, and Trenton and Aldemnia, who married 2 years after moving to the mountains. Charmin and Vixie had 2 children together, and Trenton and Aldemnia had a daughter a year after they married, and the daughter was 3 years old. However, the people from Dripston Kingdom and Capstan Village felt they were worse off, and they were becoming restless. King Fate had always handled the soldiers from King Damon-Tate, and so his people didn't realize things. Even when they were leaving their kingdom or village, they didn't know the danger was that imminent. Now, they were tired of living in the mountain caves. Some of the children didn't want to go to school and learn. The people grumbled that the Linkers weren't always doing chores like the other children because they didn't see flying patrol on the dragons as a chore. They felt that was leisure time. But King Fate knew it was important to watch for King Damon-Tate. King Fate sighed to himself and called his people together. He said, "My people, I do not hold you captive. If you wish to leave, then leave. But I would advise you to listen to Cinder's story or to listen to Clef's story first." Cinder saw the aftermath of what King Damon-Tate did to Kalmash Kingdom, and Clef witnessed King Damon-Tate order his own people killed. Moreover, I tell you that we have had enough to eat, because King Damon-Tate is not taxing us. But King Damon-Tate still has a lot of dragons, and the Linkers are young. Give us more time to prepare to fight, and then we will fight and defeat King Damon-Tate, and we will build or rebuild ourselves a kingdom. Several people shouted that King Fate always said to wait. But how long were they to wait? Several more complained of not having proper doors in the caverns, and the outhouses being too far away. Several others complained that the gardens did better farther south, and still others complained of it being too cold in the winter. King Fate looked at Cinder, and he nodded his head to let King Fate know that he was ready to share his story. Martin was near the front of the stage. He knew this story, but he wanted to hear it again. He was supposed to be flying maneuvers with the other Linkers, but he received permission to listen. So several other Linkers joined him, and they were also at the front. Cinder had told his story several times, and the one time that he broke down was when he was telling Martin. So he felt that he could tell the story this time and not break down. He saw Martin near the front. He and Dacia had adopted Martin once they married, and as of yet, Martin was their only son. Dacia had miscarried twice. Cinder then saw Dacia over to the side, and he started his story. Cinder told how he was young, maybe the age of his adopted son, Martin, and he told the things he had witnessed, and he told of his wrenching fear and how he fled the kingdom. Then he so slowly told of his return and all the people he helped. He motioned to the ones who were in the crowd, and that person would wave an arm. Cinder went into how scared they were to plant a garden, and how he knew they were right, because King Damantade had gone back and demolished everything, including the mushroom garden they had in the cave. He told how he had been scared to fly back with Browser to help fight King Damantade, but that after King Damantade flew to the kingdoms and they witnessed the destruction, he knew he made the right decision. He then offered to fly some of them to the different kingdoms, so long as they flew far east first and out of King Damantade's sight. A few raised their hands to go, and they would bring back word. Clefort then walked up to the podium to speak. He didn't feel too confident, and he didn't speak loud enough for his voice to carry too far, so the people in the front of the crowd had to repeat what he said. He started his story from being an orphan and King Damantade taking him in, and how he thought he was very fortunate. Then he told how he saw soldiers kill people, like other soldiers, cooks, smiths, or scribes, and he sometimes didn't know why. Other times, he didn't think the crime was that bad, and everyone made mistakes, but he tried not to make mistakes. Clefort paused and looked at Kasha, the young witch that had come from King Damantade's, and he knew she could tell a similar story. He looked at Gazia, the tailor matched to him. She had her hands together under her chin. So Clefort then told about not being able to count so well, but he knew he had to make sure he had enough potions for all the dragons. He added hastily that he didn't know the potion harmed the dragons and took away their colors. Then he told of why he left. I left because I had 20 extra potions, so I knew some dragons were missing, and I didn't want to lose my head. I met Elloni's mother, and I wanted to bring her back to the kingdom, but instead she convinced me to pour out the potions and ride her to safety. Gaia knew that wasn't precisely accurate, but it was close enough, especially since Libya had been there as dust, and that still didn't register with Clefort. The people left the kingdom meeting still grumbling, but Kasha told Clefort how well he did. She said the people would never understand what it was like to live in that kingdom, especially not when they had it so good here. Cinder went to King Fate. I hope you don't mind me flying them to the other kingdoms." "Not at all. I hope King Damontade's men don't spot you," replied King Fate-Right. "Why not let him go with Libya and Elloni?" suggested Browser. The small group looked at Browser strangely. "I thought you didn't like going in the haze," asked King Fate-Right. "Well, not really, because I never knew where I was when we exited the haze. But if I exited at one of the other kingdoms, I would know where I was." Falfa Taylor said, "That would be better. King Damontade can't see Libya in the haze." "But how many can she do?" asked Cinder. "I saw 10 or 12 hands go up." "She is quite proficient," stated Falfa. "She helped Bradley bring the Linkers to their dragons." "Speaking of dragons," stated King Fate-Right, "we only have 77 of the new dragons. That's not counting the 69 that were adults under King Damontade." "I, for one, am hoping he runs out of potions soon," stated Browser as he turned to his next thing. "You're not the only one," stated King Fate-Right. Cinder shook his head. "I, for one, wouldn't want to live near a stockpile of those potions. Geisa told us how much magic it took her to counteract the effects of the potion on the ground." Soflin walked up. "Yes, and Temtal the dragon isn't the same as before. The potion damaged his mind." Everyone else walked off as Soflin and King Fate-Right discussed things. One thing was how Soflin was doing. Not many her age got pregnant, and they hadn't expected her to, but she had. Soflin told him she was fine, and then King Fate-Right told her some of their plans. Soflin looked down. "I hope that's enough. The people are restless. I'm certainly not hoping King Damontade finds us anytime soon, but I'm afraid that might be what it takes for some of these people." King Fate-Right stroked her hair. "Don't worry, dear. Cinder's group are bringing several men to other kingdoms. They will come back and tell their news." King Fate-Right and Soflin walked out to the garden area. It was also the area where the dragons lifted off to practice maneuvers. King Fate-Right encouraged the people to take the time to watch the soldiers practicing and the dragons flying, and he felt since many helped with the gardens, they would at least glance up in the sky now and again. When they got there, Nelly's dragon was landing, and Nelly was sliding off, not waiting for the dragon to fully land. She tumbled to the ground, and her dragon lifted up slightly, so he didn't land on her. Then Nelly ran toward the outhouse area to the north of the mountains, and Nina, the tailor matched to her, was flying behind. King Fate-Right shook his head to himself. "I know she's grown a lot, and she has more growing to do, but I'm glad she is a linker. Did you hear all the stories of her wandering off?" Evelyn laughed behind her hand. "Yes, I heard." Then she became serious. "None of the rescued prisoners were her father, and we don't know if the bones we found in the woods were her mother or not." King Fate-Right lifted Soflin's hand and kissed it. "I know, dear. But the whole kingdom watches over that child, even those who grumbled the loudest." "Yes, you're right," replied Soflin. Then they walked through the gardens and the practice area, and things seemed in order. Okay, writers, that is the end of chapter 1. It wasn't a long chapter, but you got to see how everyone was doing. Like I said before, it's been 6 years, so Nelly is now 8, not 2. But I didn't exactly say this is 6 years. I said, 2 years after. And, I said some things so that you knew you could add up the time. It wasn't a long chapter. You got to see how everybody's doing. You got to see normal life now. You saw normal life in the village when we started with book 1, how things were oppressive and they were scared. Now you see normal life here. Not everything. You haven't seen everything, but you've seen a little bit. So leave a comment on if you would want to go to the other kingdoms. See things for yourself. I want to see this. I don't believe it was all destroyed I want to see it. Or would you not want to go and you just want to grumble? I'm sure my audience wouldn't grumble, but a lot of people in the world will always grumble. And we have to have those different perspectives. We have to know what the people are going to do. The people, they have food. They have shelter. They're grumbling. Why? Because they don't have doors on their little cave entrances and stuff. So they're grumbling. It doesn't matter how good you have it. Somebody's going to grumble. And it doesn't matter how bad you have it. Somebody is going to find a way to make it work. And, you know, sometimes the poorest people are the happiest people because they don't have to worry about paying for their Lamborghini and their mansion and stuff like that. They just have to pay their little rent and their food and, you know. So, when you don't know to worry about certain things, sometimes it makes a happier life. And some people are just grateful with what they have. They're not always wanting more. They're just grateful. So that's a good thing. Whether you're poor, rich, or whatever, you should always be grateful. Join me Tuesday for vocabulary. I thought of a word on my bike ride this morning. Exploit. Yeah, that was the word. We haven't done that one, I don't think. So I think I will have to put that in there somewhere. Anyway, not necessarily Tuesday, but join me Tuesday for vocabulary and part 9 of your story with the setting. Join me Friday for chapter 2 of Elloni's Pride, Gaining Freedom. Visit my website. Excuse me. Not breathing right. Visit my website, bymckella.com, and read some character bios. If you read some, then leave a comment on which ones you've read. Or go read a blog post, my coach's blog, authorkristenlam.com. She has fabulous advice, and she can put it in a way that you can understand it. A lot of times it's like, she did a great job with me when we were doing our meetings, and we still have some more meetings to do, but I'm a little behind on things, and she's understanding. So go read her blog post and see if you can, if she speaks to you the way she speaks to me, and you can just really understand what she's trying to tell you in those blogs. Leave a comment on which blogs you read and how you think the post will help you with your writing. All of your comments will help us start conversations and build our community. Keep all comments respectful. And remember, somebody else's comment shows their perspective. And that perspective can help you with your writing. So don't nix it. Use it. Take it and say, okay, I saw it this way, but this person saw it this way. How could I get into the mind of this person so that I can have more dynamic characters and more dynamic play or intermixing between my characters? Get that perspective. Use it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and the bell so we can continue to write together, and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video and this channel, since your likes push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video or needs this video, then please share it with them. This is McKella with Write with McKella. Bye for now.